feeling a decent vibe lately in the last couple of days with the podcast, which is nice. I was 100% in a lull for a while, and it's changed slightly. Maybe it's the intro music. I'll keep talking about it until you guys are sick of it, because I love it. Could be a handful of other things. Definitely getting better at taking notes on things I see throughout the day I want to share here. Taking screenshots, and also just had a really nice reminder, which was generally something I wanted to talk about, but also motivated me to get on this thing today. So first thing was a friend of mine recently, and I've talked about this person before on this podcast, but because of what they're working on, and I think it's going to be like a big release for them. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But anyway, they asked me to review something for them, essentially a course they're creating. And I've been following them for a while. And, you know, they've just had a lot of output, a lot of creation, a lot of writing, putting it out there into the world. And so they reached out to me, asked them to review this course. And in my head, I'm like, okay, how significant can this thing be? Like, what does this actually look like? And this wasn't because I don't think highly of this person. I feel like they're really industrious. I've done long endurance events with them. I've hung out with them. They've supported events I've done. I've supported events they've done. We've done them together. So like, I know that hard work is no stranger. This person is no stranger to hard work. And generally they have this person has a really fucking fantastic view of the world in terms of just excitement and curiosity. And I admire all of these things, and not always happy, but very often, if not always, willing to find the good in something, even if the situation is imperfect, which I think is like a big difference. Maybe that's a topic for another time in a podcast. That's a big difference between kind of like a Pollyanna type optimism, or just, happy for the sake of being happy, even if you're faking it. And, like really productive optimism is, always being willing to find the silver lining or good in something, but also being honest and recognizing like this situation might be hard. But anyway, they asked me to, this is all to set the stage for the fact that like, I believe this person can do shit and I've seen them do it. But it's always fun when somebody who you admire those characteristics in even exceeds your expectations and amazes you. So they reached out to me, asked me to review this course for them. And I was traveling, so I said I'd take a couple days to do it. And I should have given more time with that, because then I start getting into it, and I open it in the email, and I start looking into this course. And it's essentially a 140 plus page book and course, and with lessons, and it's amazing. And it was one of those things where I was just like, and I kind of have seen what this person's been up to on Instagram, and I'm like, it's one of those like, where the hell do they find the time? You always can if you look hard enough. But it was just such a pleasant surprise. And it was a pleasant surprise because just to admire the hard work somebody puts into something, especially when you have a certain expectation and they just blow it away. And also it's inspiring for you, if you're someone who wants to achieve something that generally requires a little bit of elbow grease, a little bit of effort, I think it's always just a nice reminder that it's possible. And I think about that so much lately, especially because I'm at this cool point in my life where I really see some of my closest friends, accelerating through their careers or their personal lives. They have their hardships too, but the steps and jumps they take, they're just at that stage of life where it's like the steps and jumps they take that we all see seem just like enormous. Kind of like that saying, any overnight success is 10 years in the making. So it always gets you a little excited to keep trying harder. At least that's how I've tried to internalize that stuff, right? Because the flip side of it is to look at it and be like, oh, I could never do this. But, looking at the achievement of others as a possibility and not an obstacle. So I thought that was really cool. It was really exciting to me, and got me thinking about this podcast again and just other things I've been working on personally. chipping away at my fitness. Which like I said, for me, over the last handful of years, fitness has really just been, I call it like it's a brushing my teeth sort of activity for me. And what I mean by that is I do it because it's healthy for me. I do it because I think it makes my life better. But, I'm not looking to compete in like the world toothbrushing competition. I want to be able to be good at it enough to get the most benefits out of it, but that's really it. Which is a huge change for me in terms of how I've approached fitness. And I think sometimes, I was talking to a friend today, and we were talking about just being addicted to things and having addictive personalities. And he said to me, he goes, we were talking about fitness and training. And he's like, you think I like suffering all the time? He's like, I just can't stop. I do it because I'm completely addicted to it and I need it every day. And I laughed because this is something I understand. And it's a feeling I've struggled with when it comes to fitness at times. But one of the reasons I think, sort of the brushing the teeth categorization of fitness and treating it that way is not always a good thing based on like what my relationship with training has been in the past, for dominance, for obsession, just getting the shovel out and digging and seeing where the bottom was. And so even if I use it to like brush my teeth, I still kind of feel sometimes, even if I train regularly, a little bit empty from that activity. Physically good, but I don't know how much it always nurtures my soul. So, spending a little more time hanging around a couple friends who I feel really push me. Like I said, I was out in California visiting some friends, and I got to train with them. We trained hard and kind of pushed it a little bit, and it was just so fun. It was such a good feeling. I like that. Today trained really hard. So I've been just I'll still do a lot of brushing the teeth, but when it comes to fitness, every time once in a while, I will brush the teeth, and I'll floss, and I'll use the water pick and whatever toothbrushing analogy, maxing you can think of. So been focusing on doing that a little bit with my fitness because it's something I've let go over the last couple long times. And then the final thing I wanted to share, and this is a pretty simple one, and that's what really got the juices flowing for this. And it's cool because this original concept was kind of the impetus for this entire podcast, which, as I've said before, I think in some ways has been far more valuable for me to maybe than to anybody listening. Just the act of like working through my own thoughts and thinking about how I see and perceive the world. Oh, I remember something else I want to talk about. Speaking of putting yourself around people you admire, you look up to, you can appreciate their successes, if not more, as much as, if not more than your own, and be inspired by their successes and achievements that way. The other day I love selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. It's just such a fun, novel idea. There's a lot of reasons I like it. Definitely a pain in the butt sometimes, but when it goes well, I think it's really cool. Like the interpersonal interaction, the bartering. And ultimately, I've sold some things where people are like really excited to get them. And so in my head, like I don't like stuff. And so to think that I'm holding on to something that somebody could be using better, like makes my skin crawl, makes you want to throw up. So I'm not saying I'm like Marie Kondo in my whole life, but I don't know. That's just sometimes how I feel about that kind of stuff. Anyway, I sold this loadable dumbbell, and I've been trying to sell this stupid thing for fucking a year or more. And I just kept relisting it. And I was like, it'll stick eventually. And eventually it stuck. Guy reached out. Hey, I'm going to drive up, see you, blah, blah, blah. I work over in this town. And anyway, he rolls up. We had a really simple exchange, which is not always the case on Facebook Marketplace. Really, he rolls up, texts me he's going to be here. And he drove out to me, which was also awesome because I don't live in like the easiest to access area, but also not hard. Anyway, he rolls up, and I kind of have like a longish driveway, and he parks at the end of the driveway, and I walk outside, and I'm like, well, maybe he doesn't know if this is my house. And so I text him, hey, I'm outside, and I wave to him, and he pulls up a little bit more and kind of gives me this shrug, sort of like, I don't know if I should, and pulls up a little bit more. And I said, hey man, I said, you can drive up the driveway. And he steps out of the car and very polite stance, you could tell by his bearing that, he has a sense of, respect. Not that I, first glance garner any, but a sense of respect in that I don't know you. He has this look of like, I don't know you. I don't know this area. So I'm just going to try and tread as lightly as possible on property and space that's, not mine. That's kind of like the vibe I got from him, but friendly young man. And kind of put his hands slightly behind his back. And then, which was interesting. So I was in my head, I was like, he's in some type of service, law enforcement. Turns out firefighter for 4 years. And I said, why don't you want to drive up the driveway? And he said, well, sometimes, you drive up people's driveways. They don't like it. Facebook Marketplace. So I just want to be, and he said this, I just want to be respectful. And I was like, God damn. I was like, unless you're going to Dexter everyone in my house tonight. Just a polite, interesting, thoughtful person. And what was crazy about this, this interaction lasted all of 120 seconds, maybe a little bit more. We talked a little bit about what he did, what he's doing with the weights, building his gym, shook hands, said thank you, said good luck. He was driving all the way down, he's driving far because he found someone who's selling a second loadable dumbbell. And it was just wild because I was in this 2-minute exchange, I felt significantly impressed upon by his behavior. And it was immediately I wanted to straighten up, stand taller, and I don't know, be a little bit more reverent and respectful in some scenarios, in a lot of scenarios. But it was cool because I think sometimes you forget the ripple effect your behaviors can have. And, it's worthwhile thinking about what is the ripple, what's the message I want to put out into the world. And if that really is the message I want to put out into the world, if that's behavior I want to put out into the world, if that's how I want other people to see me, am I doing that often? How often am I doing that? Am I doing it at the big interactions, small interactions, medium interactions, when somebody's looking, when no one's looking, when people ask me to, when they don't ask me to? But it was a nice moment because as I walked back to the house, I was like, man, what do people think about as they interact with me? First time meeting me, second time meeting me. So thank you to that young man for that little lesson, which I don't know if he knew he shared with me, but he did significantly. And then this is longer than I thought it was going to be. And then the last thing is because I like to get so much of my inspiration from just the infinite wisdom of the internet and Instagram, social media, had a couple of these ideas written down. Again, kind of dragging about the podcast. Hey, I've kind of had some, lame duck weeks here with the podcast, kind of getting back into it. Not sure if I'm finding my way. Do I even do it? And then I was scrolling through Instagram and I took a screenshot and yeah. I laugh. I'm sure it helps a lot of people. I just laugh because it's talk about being so kitsch. Anyway, the account is My Easy Therapy. Anyway, and it has a picture, and on the top picture, there's sort of a circle, but it's not connected. It's not a contiguous line, and it's colored in, but the color in goes outside of the circle, and it's kind of messy. And above it says the words, just make it exist first. And then below that, there's a picture of a circle, and it's very nice. It looks almost like a perfect circle. It's colored inside the lines connected. And then it says, you can make it good later. Just make it exist first. You can make it good later. And that almost completely got me here right now to do this tonight. So I'll leave everybody with that. So many places to apply it to. It's good to every once in a while to have a mantra. Just make it exist first. You can make it good later. I really like that. It was the vibe of the day. It's kind of been the vibe of the week. So enjoy and appreciate y'all, and more tomorrow.